Just give me a sec here. I am here. How are you?
Um, I'm great. I'm great. Fantastic work.
Thank you.
I love the point of um being removed from the force concept.
Yeah,
Um, a lot of people actually forget that you don't need to use the force to actually use a lightsaber. It's just done by a crystal.
yeah.
And the fact that you
I
got to play with that was fantastic.
I love the idea for that of having someone who was he made the choice because he saw sort of how things were going and the event that took place that we don't really delve too deep into, but know that bad stuff happened and there was going to be a choice that basically to protect the status of the Jedi, that they are all powerful in the whole bit. The people who saw them at their weak point were going to get wiped out. So
Yeah.
he made the choice and defended the people. And when he saw what was going to happen, he cut himself off and went his own way. But he never forgets what his past.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I was intrigued by the whole God's idea of of this of this fan film, due to the fact that nobody really plays too much with what the civilians actually think.
No,
And yeah,
yeah, it was for me. I look at, like, when I make a film, something like this, I'm not, as you can tell, it's not really set in the time period of any of the current films or anything like that. It's set at a very different timeline, and I want to tell a unique story to it. And playing off of the only God characters that we ever really hear of in Star Wars are the ones and Abeloth from the books and everything. So the idea
yeah,
that I could tell a story with that and try to bring that Legends character in, which is a task upon itself, and give an idea of sort of being like, all right, well, how are the Jedi viewed? How do people actually view them regularly? How and what would they actually be in the power scale of things? And as it turns out, they're kind of down on the lower end.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people tend to forget that the original idea of a Jedi was somebody that just did not want to tamper at all with society. And the idea
Yes.
that they were
Yeah.
actually, yeah, exactly. Sorry. I'm like basically agreeing with you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, no, that's it. I viewed them sort of at a time way back when, the idea they have a temple, they have all this, they could very well be looked at by others as being a religious bit. And what
Yeah.
happens if it goes too much into, like, I kind of had it that the youngling is very much the power's gone to his head. He likes the
Yes.
idea of people viewing him as being powerful and thinks that they should be respected that way. His master, who was Coda's apprentice at one point, she sees the other way, where she knows we're not all that, but she walks that fine line. And then you have Coda, who completely is like, yeah, no, we've been doing wrong things. We need to leave that alone. And
Exactly.
then you add that in, that you throw an actual god into the mix, and be like, yeah, no, here's the true difference here, is that when you come up against her, it's like, yeah, you are nothing. You have been acting this whole time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole concept was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, I I was intrigued over how well the green screen did with the burning forest.
Forest.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like it was amazing. Like it was almost seamless. Like, did you do anything special to that one? I mean,
Basically, with that, it's just I had lighting all set up around the green screen set to try and imitate what fire would look like. going around
Okay.
along with, of course, having the green screen, and then it's throwing in the virtual set. So like that set is live moving and everything at the same time as I'm moving the camera. The virtual camera's moving at the same time with it, and we can see exactly how everything's moving together. And then it's how rather than just sticking like taking green screen footage and sticking it on top of the other, I actually inserted it onto into a plate inside Unreal Engine, so it looks like the sparks and everything go by them. That's being made in there rather than adding other elements afterward. So I'd stick them right in where they should have been and make it seem like they're actually inside, like they're actually walking in there. And it was quite neat on set. We had it set up so that there was a live feed running to the computer and then a live feed coming back, so we could flip a monitor and the actors could see themselves in that moment right then and there. So they knew you're picturing all green, but you can also see where, all right, we can see where we're going or stuff like that. And in live time, just adjust the cameras around to get the better looks.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. When you guys did
That's
the
all done in my
choreography,
that's all done in my garage.
oh, sorry, what was it?
It's all done in my garage. Like I tore my garage down and built that green screen set.
Ah,
Just
okay. I
yeah.
was about to ask, like, how was the choreography? I know you're flailing around the
So
lightsabers here.
we spent but so the girls did 3 months of choreography of fight practice. Myself and Andrew, we did a little over 2 months, but I have a fencing background, and so does Andrew. So we both come from. So for him and I, who have worked in some movies and that before, this was our big moment to finally. We've never got to fight each other, and we're like, all right, let's go nuts with it. The girls did a wonderful job just going all at it, and it actually went pretty smooth on the day of. Um, I think we spent about Andrew and I did a ton of other take like we just kept playing with angles. I think we did about 2 hours of takes on him and I. And for the girls, I think we did pretty similar to that. Only broke one blade, which led to a wonderful blooper when it snapped halfway through in the middle of the fight and just went flying through the air. But it was a lot of fun. It's a lot more tiring than I think people think it is. Like it's a lot of work. You do have to remember a lot. You then put into the back of your mind and try to block it out that the camera is there and you're not thinking about where the camera is. Am I going to hit the camera or anything like that? It's you just have to put yourself in the moment, go with it, and by practicing that much, you can then add the emotion to the fight because you still have to be carrying that end of it too. It's not about how fancy the moves or anything look. It's can you feel the fight?
Right. Well, with that, I was just seeing as you have a background in fencing, lightsabers aren't exactly like, balanced like a regular, I
No.
was this blade or anything. But how was that? I was just it's no foil or anything. So
No, actually find so what everyone has to get used to off the bat is that they're heavier. So it was sort of a thing of I gave everyone the lightsabers quite a ways ahead that they'd end up using, so they could kind of get used to the feel of it in their hands and that. And the first couple days of practice and everything, everyone be going, they need a few more breaks, but then he kind of got into a rhythm with it. It helped develop how the fight would go. There was a lot less. I have a moment in the fight where I do switch to doing one hand, very much a fencing style for a moment, and then I go back, kind of to show the idea. I don't know. I've always thought of the original idea behind the blades in the films was that, there's so much energy and everything through them. They're not super light. They are heavier. They're more broadsword style. Then we went into the fights where they were more like samurai style. They went a little bit faster. But I'm still going with the idea of they're heavy. They take a lot of effort to do, so there's a little less, yeah, you can do a swing here or there, but you see it kind of carries the motion with it. It's not quite as flashy as, say, Revenge of the Sith style, but it has more weight to it and a little bit more I guess it's more thinking of what you're doing rather than going with the flow of it. And I know the Jedi bit of the Force would tell them where to go. I kind of like to go with an idea of there's some of that, but there's also your training. Like for Coda, he wasn't going off any of that. He's going off of I've learned all these style of moves, and his mind is keeping him up to pace with the youngling who has a lot less training than he does, but he can keep up to pace with them. So you're not gonna you have to be smart with it.
Brilliant, brilliant. Um, Before I guess I ask any more questions. Would you like to add any more comments to to the making of this fantastic fan film?
It was a lot of it was a passion project. I had worked on a film before and had pitched the idea to Abby, the lead actress, of, someday I would love to bring this Abeloth character to life. I don't know how the heck we're going to do it because in the books she is, she is a god sort of bit. All the depictions of her with a very evil looking smile that's full of teeth and tentacle arms, which obviously I wasn't going to do the tentacle bit. But we we both kind of got hooked onto this idea of how do you tell her coming in a grounded way, and that's sort of where the story came about of this the view of sort of religion in Star Wars, how it goes, what's a god, what isn't. Two sort of broken people that you can mirror a bit between Coda and Rokari. When you find Rokari, she doesn't know who she is. You find out she had tried to do something and it turned her into who she was. And for Coda, the same sort of thing. He tried to help people, it turned him kind of into this recluse bit. And only at the end does he find out that maybe, he should have done more, to be there for Kira, and that maybe he had kind of wasted himself a bit, but his ideals were still all right. It was a big gamble. We'd never done like a virtual production idea. It was the only way we could do this story. So it was a big experiment of, all right, let's see, can we do this? Can we bring it all together? The whole crew worked their butts off and put a ton of faith in me that it was going to end up turning out the way it did. And I'm just super proud of how they all worked through it all.
Yeah, and you're basically all over the credits, sir. You were
Yes,
like a
I do a ton. I do spend a insane amount of time. All the computer stuff, because that is for my film background, it's much more visual effects based and everything. So I'm gonna stick myself in on doing all that stuff. I write it, I direct it. Although because I'm acting in it, Kira, who is our cinematographer, took a lot of the extra bits in there for the directing bit too, of what's she seeing, how is this going, and the two of us sort of collaborated together to bring how it ended up looking to life. And then I locked myself in a room for months on end to do all the editing and pull your hair out and see what happens.
yes, the
It's a lot.
grind.
It's a lot, but it's worth it when you start seeing bits and pieces of it come together. That's when it's worth it. And I would, after I'd get a little sequence done, I'd send sort of sneak peeks to the cast and that, and you get their reactions from it, and keep going from there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Spoken like a true producer.
I try.
Um, where can we find more of your work?
Just on my website, parishproductionsfilms.com. It's got all the social media links and everything on there as well. This film will be going around a little bit. We've got a screening in New York in April, aiming at it for a Comic-Con in Indianapolis in June. And we actually had our first physical screening a couple days ago at the Chinese Theater here in LA. So
Oh,
it's going to be
wonderful.
around. We're going to keep it going around here for a bit, and then we move on to our next project next year.
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well done, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Parrish.
You're
Uh,
welcome. Thank you so much for doing this, for continuing being able to do this through everything that's gone on this winter. It has been a tough year for everybody, and we appreciate still having these opportunities. It means a lot to everyone.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It means a lot for you guys to actually say.
You're welcome.